The story begins with our female lead, Chanmi, on a video call with her twin brother, Ji So-haeon. From the way they talk, it's clear the two of them are incredibly close. Chanmi misses So-haeon a lot, and right then he tells her, "I'm coming to see you. I have something really important I need to talk to you about." Hearing this, Chanmi gets super excited. But just then, someone comes to So-haeon's side, and mid-conversation, he sets his phone down. In the very next moment, we see So-haeon falling from a window, and he dies. Chanmi has no idea any of this has happened. She's still waiting on the video call, but then someone else picks up So-haeon's phone. Chanmi catches a glimpse of their shadow and says, "So-haeon, is that you? Talk to me." But in the next instant, the call cuts off. Chanmi doesn't understand what happened, and she figures So-haeon must be busy and will call her back himself. In the next scene, we see Chanmi at a shooting competition, where she can't focus on her aim at all because her mind is entirely on So-haeon. She hasn't heard from him since that day, and she's been really worried about him. After that, we see a guy named So-yeon who works at a bowling alley. After finishing his shift, he goes to a nursing home where his mom is admitted. The lady at the reception desk tells him, "You need to pay the bill, and if you don't, your mother's treatment will be stopped and she'll be discharged." This worries him, and he tells her, "Please don't do that. I'll pay the full bill very soon." After visiting his mom, he heads outside and suddenly gets a splitting headache and collapses right there on the road. On the other side, Chanmi arrives at the orphanage where she and So-haeon had lived together since childhood. When So-haeon was 8 years old, a couple had adopted him, separating the two siblings, but they'd stayed in contact all along. This time, though, Chanmi can't take So-haeon's silence anymore because it's the first time he's ever gone this long without talking to her. So she goes to So-haeon's school and starts showing everyone his photo and asking about him. Then she gets the news that her beloved brother, So-haeon, the person she can't even imagine losing, is dead. At first, she can't believe it at all, and then she breaks down and sobs because she never could have imagined this. She loved her brother so much and always just wanted to see him happy. After that, she goes to So-haeon's adoptive parents and asks them about his death. They tell her, So-haeon committed suicide. But looking at their faces, there's not even a trace of grief for their son. In fact, So-haeon's mom starts bad-mouthing him and says, "We didn't even know he was still in contact with you. We only found out after he died when photos of him with you were found among his things." Then she starts talking badly about Chanmi, too. Chanmi says, "How can you do this? He was your son. How can you act this normally about his death?" So-haeon's parents just brush it off, saying there's nothing they can do since So-haeon took his own life. Chanmi then says, "Fine, then please give me my brother's phone." But they tell her they don't know where his phone is and that the police didn't find it either. Chanmi keeps begging them, "Please, just give me my brother's phone." But they scold her harshly and she leaves in tears. After that, we see a detective in a police station watching a video clip of So-haeon's death. Just then, a girl from her college asks her, "Why are you studying a closed case?" The detective doesn't answer. At that very moment, Chanmi walks into the police station and comes to this same detective and asks to speak with her. Chanmi then tells her that her brother, So-haeon, did not commit suicide. He was actually on his way to come visit her. The detective tries to reason with her. "Look, suicide can happen very suddenly. Maybe your brother had been planning it and just decided to act on it." But Chanmi absolutely refuses to accept that. She says, "No, I'm completely sure this wasn't a suicide because on that video call, I saw someone else's shadow in the room." Just then, another officer walks over and says, "There's nothing strange about this. Your brother jumped from a classroom, and of course there would be other people around. You might have seen the shadow of any one of them." Chanmi says, "Okay, that's possible, but then why wasn't my brother's phone ever found?" She turns to the lady detective and says, "I'm sure my brother's phone is with his killer. He was murdered, not a suicide." She breaks down completely and begs everyone, "Please find my brother's killer. He was murdered. This was not a suicide." On the other side, we see So-yeon in the hospital. The doctor tells him to bring a family member, and he says, "In this world, I have no one besides my mom, and she's in the hospital." The doctor says, "All right then, bring your teacher from school." But So-yeon never goes back to the hospital. He buries himself in work and then gets an appointment reminder from the doctor's clinic. He thinks to himself that he feels fine, so what's the point of going to the hospital for nothing? In the next scene, we see Chanmi with one of her friends. Her friend is pretty upset with her because Chanmi went to Seoul and enrolled in a new school without telling anyone. She's going to be studying there from now on. She did all of this for So-haeon because she wants to find his killer as quickly as possible. Even on the train ride there, all she can think is that no matter what it takes, she will get justice for her brother, whatever she has to do to make that happen. Meanwhile, we see So-yeon at a boxing ring, beating his opponent so badly that people have to step in to pull him off the poor guy. But this display of fighting skills impresses his coach a lot, and he tells him, "Join our fighting team." But So-yeon turns it down and says, "I don't want to get into all that right now. I need to focus on his studies." Then we find out that when So Yeon had collapsed on the road, his scooter had been stolen, and the thief had even listed it for sale on an online secondhand market. So Yeon spots that listing and heads out to get his scooter back. On the other side, Chon-mi had bought that scooter from the thieves. She's just about to leave with it when So Yeon shows up and rudely demands his scooter back. Chon-mi finds this really strange. So Yeon tells her, "This is my scooter. Yum, if you don't believe me, check the storage box. There's a sticker inside." Chon-mi opens the storage box and sure enough, there is a sticker. But she still tells him she's not giving it back because she paid money for it. So Yeon says, "You bought a stolen scooter, which technically makes you a thief too. I'm calling the police right now." Chon-mi says, "Do whatever you want. I don't care. I'm not giving this scooter back." The two of them are still arguing when a car comes along and starts honking because So Yeon has his scooter parked right in the middle of the road. He goes to move it to the side and tells Chon-mi to wait right there. But the moment he turns away, Chon-mi bolts. So Yeon takes off after her. Chon-mi doesn't know anyone in this city, so now she needs to find a place to stay. She goes to a hostel, but the hostel staff won't give her a room because she's a school student. She starts begging them, "Please give me a room. I promise I won't break any rules, and I'll never give you a reason to complain." Meanwhile, the thieves from whom Chon-mi had bought the scooter had planted a tracking device in it. Following the tracker, they show up there too. The moment they start trying to steal the scooter back, So Yeon arrives and puts the whole situation together. He chases after the thieves and takes them both on alone. Then one of the thieves grabs a flower pot and smashes it hard over So Yeon's head, causing him intense pain. He grabs his head and is about to go down and doesn't even notice a truck barreling toward him. Just before the truck can hit him, Chon-mi appears and pulls him out of the way. Chon-mi then says, "Look, I have no quarrel with you. I bought your scooter with my own money, and now I've saved your life on top of that. So let's just drop this whole thing right here." So Yeon's heart isn't really ready to let go of his scooter, but he agrees in the end because Chon-mi did save his life. In the next scene, Chon-mi is riding the scooter to the school where her brother used to study. She's lost in her thoughts, and at that same moment, So Yeon comes from the other direction, causing Chon-mi to lose her balance and crash into a trash bin, getting her clothes all dirty. So Yeon stops and tries to help, but in the process, he gets Chon-mi's whole shirt wet, so he gives her his jacket. After that, the two of them arrive at school together and Chon-mi goes to park her scooter alongside So Yeon's. Right then, a man comes over and tells her that's not a parking spot, but then he looks at Chon-mi more carefully and sees she's wearing So Yeon's jacket, so he assumes she must be So Yeon's friend and lets her park there. After that, the two of them head into school, and some girls notice that Chon-mi is wearing So Yeon's jacket. They figure Chon-mi might be So Yeon's girlfriend. So, one of the girls, Yana, who has always had a crush on So Yeon, is furious when she hears this and says, "Let me get a look at who this even is." Next, we see a classroom scene where a teacher is scolding So Yeon for not being in proper uniform, and Chon-mi is sitting in the same class. Just then, Chon-mi takes the jacket out of her bag and hands it back to him in front of everyone, leaving everyone stunned and teasing So Yeon about it, which makes Yana even more furious. After that, we see a guy named Seok Jae-bum making his entrance at school. From the principal, we learn that Seok Jae-bum had lost his memory in an accident, and so he was going to be repeating his class. The principal asks So Yeon and another student to help him out. Seok Jae-bum comes from a very wealthy family, which is clearly why the principal is giving him so many favors. Next, we see the classroom scene where Seok Jae-bum walks in, and a girl with white hair tries to flirt with him. And Seok Jae-bum blushes just like any girl would. After that, we see Chon-mi walking around the school, thinking that So Haeon must have walked these same halls, and she gets emotional just thinking about him. Then Chon-mi participates in the school's shooting team and meets a girl there. The two of them go to a cafe to eat, and there Chon-mi finds out from the girl that So Haeon had a girlfriend. Just then, Chon-mi remembers that So Haeon had shown her a photo of a girl on his phone, but she hadn't gotten a good look at it. She's thinking all this over when she suddenly notices that So Yeon has the exact same phone that So Haeon used to have. Chon-mi finds this extremely strange and thinks, how on earth did So Yeon end up with that phone? She starts following So Yeon and sees him heading into a hospital. She wonders what he's doing there and happens to overhear his conversation with the doctors. She finds out that So Yeon has a brain tumor. Hearing this, she feels terrible for him. Then So Yeon asks the doctor, "How much time do I have left?" The doctor replies, "We can't say for certain. It could be 3 months, 6 months, or even up to a year." So Yeon starts thinking about his mom. What would happen to her if something happened to him? And with that thought, he falls into a deep sadness. After that, Chon-mi sneaks into the same classroom where So Haeon jumped from. Just being in that room makes her deeply emotional. It feels like her brother is still there sitting at the window. Then she runs into So Yeon there and asks him, "What are you doing here?" So Yeon tells her, I wasn't friends with So Hyun, but I was the one who saw him fall from here. Chan-mi asks him why he's been absent so many days, and he says, I didn't even plan on coming today. I only came for lunch. Chan-mi doesn't understand. What do you mean? I'm confused. He tells her there's a stray cat he named Lunch, and he'd been coming to feed her every day. That's why he came back to school. He then takes Chan-mi to the cat. Chan-mi immediately falls in love with it and starts petting it. So Yeon says to her, will you look after her if someday I can't make it? And Chan-mi says, yes, I'd be happy to. Then Chan-mi asks So Yeon, how exactly did you see So Hyun fall? So Yeon says, he was already on the ground when I was right here feeding lunch. Hearing this makes Chan-mi emotional all over again. After that, the two of them go to the cafeteria for lunch. So Yeon is sitting with his friends, laughing and joking around, and watching him be so carefree. Chan-mi is quietly stunned because the doctor's words keep coming back to her about how little time So-yeon has left and how uncertain it all is. She thinks to herself, how brave is this guy to still be happy knowing what he knows? And she makes herself a promise that no matter what happens, she will never let So-yeon find out that she knows about his tumor. She's deep in these thoughts when a girl nearby suddenly spots a certain guy and freezes in terror. Her food tray crashes to the floor. Chun-mi's friend then explains to her that this boy and girl used to be in the same school and were working on a project together when the boy tried to sexually assault her. The matter reached the police, but no evidence could be found against him, so it was treated as just a harassment case, and the school suspended him. But now he's back, which is really strange. Why? Because he'd been transferred out. Then we see this same guy in the classroom. His name was Young-yeon, and he's the real troublemaking type. Chan-mi is also in the same class when Young-yeon starts talking with his friends about So-hyun, and one of them says, he's dead now, so there's no one in your way anymore. You're the real boss here. Young-yeon laughs and says, So-hyun couldn't have touched me anyway, but what a shame I never got the chance to beat him up while he was alive. Chan-mi is absolutely seething hearing this because she loved So-hyun so much. She tells Young-yeon, have you no shame? How dare you talk about a dead person like that? But Young-yeon is just a rude bully. He says, this is my mouth. I'll say whatever I want. What's your problem? Then he keeps bad-mouthing So-hyun until Chan-mi snaps and starts shouting back at him. This makes Young-yeon furious, and he raises his hand to hit Chan-mi. But Seok Jae-bum stops him and says, she's right. You shouldn't be talking about a dead person like this. Young-yeon laughs and says, oh, so now you're going to tell me what I should and shouldn't say? You couldn't even finish your own graduation. Don't pick a fight with me. It would be better for you because even your rich daddy won't be able to save you from me. Just then, So-yeon walks over and threatens to report Young-yeon to the principal, and Young-yeon backs off and leaves. In the next scene, So-yeon is at the doctor's office for a checkup. The doctor shows him his reports and points out where the tumor is, explaining, your tumor is in a very dangerous location. If we try to operate, your life would be at risk, so we'll have to try to reduce it through medication. So Yeon then asks whether the tumor will cause any side effects on his body, and the doctor says, yes, there will be quite a few. Things like mood swings. Sometimes you'll feel fine. Other times really bad. During those times, you'll need to stay in control and try to keep yourself calm. On the other side, Chan-mi is at shooting practice when the principal comes over with Seok Jae-bum beside him. The principal tells Chan-mi, I'd like you to teach Seok Jae-bum how to shoot because his mother believes that if he learns shooting, it might help his memory come back. Chan-mi agrees and says, okay, I'll teach Seok Jae-bum how to shoot. After that, we see So-yeon at a club with a girl, and this girl is none other than So-haeon's girlfriend, Kuki. Then we find out that So-yeon doesn't have Ji So-haeon's phone at all. It's actually Kuki's phone, which she had given him to hold onto for some reason. Then Chan-mi gets advice from So-yeon, who tells her, just give Seok Jae-bum the basics of shooting. Don't train him too hard. Later, Chan-mi looks at Seok Jae-bum and realizes she may have pushed him too hard today. She asks him, are you really tired? But he waves her off and says, not at all. I could keep practicing right now. Hearing this makes Chan-mi really happy. After that, Chan-mi heads back to the hostel and finds So-yeon waiting outside. He tells her, I need to ask you something. Chan-mi says, sure, go ahead. He asks her, how do you know Kuki? What's your connection to her? She tells him, she's a fellow shooter. We know each other from the same institute, and I also wanted to ask her about Ji So-haeon. After that, we see the classroom scene where So-yeon is sitting in class and suddenly gets a severe headache. He doesn't panic. He quietly endures the pain and steps out. But when he's gone for a long time and doesn't come back, Chan-mi goes looking for him because she's worried. Then she sees a lot of blood seeping out from under a bathroom door. Terrified, she starts banging hard on the door. Then she realizes So-yeon isn't actually in that bathroom at all. He hears the noise and comes from outside. When he sees the blood, he manages to get into the other bathroom. And here we find out this was the girl who had been harassed by Young-yeon. Her name was Tong, and she had cut the vein in her wrist. So Yeon and Chanmi rescue her and call an ambulance to take her to the hospital. After that, the two of them meet the same detective Chanmi had spoken to earlier, the one who had wanted to reopen So-hyun's case. The detective takes separate interviews from both of them. Chanmi then asks the officer, "Please don't tell anyone that Ji So-hyun is my brother, because if everyone finds out, they'll all pull away from me and I'll never be able to find the truth about my brother's death." The officer tells her, "All right, I won't tell anyone, but it would really be better if you accepted your brother's suicide." But these words have no effect on Chanmi whatsoever. After that, we see Tang in the hospital. Her life had been saved, but her condition was still serious. Seeing her daughter like this, Tang's father is devastated. He storms into the school, making a huge scene, and tells the principal, "You people are the ones who put my daughter through this. How could you let that boy back into school? He tried to rape my daughter. It's because of you people that my daughter's hanging between life and death right now. You're only doing this because that boy is rich." Then he breaks down crying and the principal tries to calm him down. In the next scene, Chanmi gets a message from Ji So-hyun's supposed girlfriend asking her to meet. But when she gets there, it's not Ji So-hyun's girlfriend at all. It's a different girl wearing a wig. Chanmi looks at her and immediately recognizes that this is not Ji So-hyun's girlfriend, but Kuki. Kuki tells her, "You're absolutely right. I'm not his girlfriend. You've been asking the wrong person about Ji So-hyun. You shouldn't be asking me. You need to ask Somya. She'll find you at school." After that, Chanmi goes to school to find Somya. Somya tells her, "When I found out about Ji So-hyun's death, I was honestly relieved. The truth is, I even changed schools because of him. He was a blackmailer. He was always digging up people's secrets and then using them against people." Hearing all this about her brother, Chanmi simply can't believe it's true because her brother was such a good person. She can't imagine he could ever be a blackmailer. She apologizes to Somya on her brother's behalf, saying, "I didn't know he was capable of doing something like this." After that, we see Kuki going to the hospital with flowers to visit Tang. Tang's father is there and she tells him, "I really understand what you're going through right now because she went through the exact same thing. There was a time when she endured abuse and harassment herself." After that, Kuki goes to So-hyun and tells him, "I know you need money for your mother's treatment. I'll give you that money, but in return, I want your help. Help me get Young-yeon out of this school. Last year, you also helped me when I was in trouble, but this time, I want us both to work together to help Tang." Then we learn what happened. When Kuki first came to this school, two girls used to bully her terribly because of her hair color, so Yeon used to watch all of this, but one day it went way too far. These girls tormented Kuki so badly that she was nearly about to take her own life. After that, we see a club scene where those girls are dancing, and somehow So-yeon shows up there and thoroughly beats them both up. He forgets all about the boy-girl divide. Then So-yeon takes those girls to the hospital so they can apologize to Kuki. The moment Kuki regains consciousness and the girls start trying to apologize, Kuki gets emotional and furious, slaps them both across the face and says, "I don't even want to look at your faces. Don't ever come in front of me again, or I will kill you." Then it clicks for Kuki that it was So-yeon who had helped her. Back in the present, Kuki tells So-yeon, "You didn't take anything from me back then, but now I want you to do this job for money." So-yeon is at a total loss for what to say. Kuki tells him, "That's okay, take some time to think about it," and with that she leaves. After Kuki leaves, So-yeon gets a call from the nursing home, telling him that his mother has developed pneumonia, so Yeon rushes to the hospital and seeing his mother's condition, he's completely overwhelmed. Because she is very seriously ill and her treatment requires money he doesn't have. He's devastated and weeping over it all, and so he decides he has to take Kuki up on her offer and make this deal. So Yeon puts on a mask and goes to Young-yeon and starts beating him up. Young-yeon demands, "Who are you? Why are you doing this?" So Yeon tells him, "I'm doing this because of what you did to Tang. Now if you promise me you won't go back to that school, I'll let you go." Young-yeon gets scared and agrees. As So-yeon is about to leave, his eye falls on a photograph. He looks more closely, and the photos are of Tang. Young-yeon was blackmailing her. Learning all of this makes So-yeon erupt with rage, and he starts beating Young-yeon like a man possessed. And just then, in the background, we hear the doctor's earlier words about how sometimes So-yeon can lose control of himself. After that, So-yeon removes his mask and walks away. But at that moment, Chan-mi spots him. She asks, "What are you doing here?" He says, "Oh, nothing. I was just passing through." Just then, Chanmi's eyes drop to his shoes where there are spots of blood. But she doesn't pay much attention to it and just says, "Why are you on foot?" So Yeon says, "Oh, I was just on my way to pick up my scooter. Chanmi finds this really strange because he never went anywhere without his scooter. But she thinks to herself, not my problem, and walks away. So Yeon then takes a deep breath, meaning he's very rattled. In the next scene, we see Chanmi going to Sohyeon's memorial with flowers. Looking at a photo of Sohyeon, she thinks about what his girlfriend had told Soyeon about the many people who were happy when Sohyeon died. She looks at her brother's photo and says, I don't know what kind of life you were living. Then we also see Soyeon there. He had also come to visit his brother's memorial. He spots Chanmi and asks, what are you doing here? Did you know my brother? She says, no, I didn't know your brother. I'm here to visit my own brother, and tells him about Ji So-heon. She also asks him not to reveal her real identity to anyone. So Yeon says, don't worry, I won't tell anyone. Then he starts telling her about his own brother. He says, my brother was bullied at school. All the guys used to pick on him. He never said anything to anyone about it, but one day it went too far. He needed to use the bathroom and the other boys wouldn't let him in, so he wet himself. The boys started mocking him and filmed videos of it and uploaded them. My brother couldn't bear that humiliation, and he took his own life. My mom couldn't handle the loss of her young son, and she's been sick in the nursing home ever since. In the next scene, the whole school is buzzing with excitement because Yeon is leaving. The news had spread quickly that someone had broken his legs the night before, and out of fear of that person, he's leaving school for good today. Yeon is wheeled out in a wheelchair, leaving forever, and the whole school is watching, and everyone agrees the same thing. What happened to him was what should happen to a rapist, and Yana is the most upset of all to see them arrive together because she's the one who has feelings for So-yeon. After that, there's a basketball match where So-yeon accidentally gets hit in the head while playing and passes out. Yana takes him to the hospital and keeps an eye on him. As the two of them are leaving the hospital, a girl bumps into Yana, and this girl is none other than Kuki. In the next scene, we see Kuki showing Tang a video of Jung-yeon leaving school in his wheelchair. Watching it, Tang gets very emotional and starts crying. Then we learn that it was actually Tang's father who had told Kuki to get So-yeon's help. He even gives Kuki some money, which she quietly slips into So-yeon's locker. On the other side, the detective team is getting ready to catch the person who attacked Jung-yeon, believing this might be the same person who killed Ji So-heon. Meanwhile, Chanmi is sitting with a girl when the girl says, I think whoever did that to Jung-yeon is the same person who killed So-heon. Hearing this, Chanmi falls deep in thought, and the memory of the blood she had seen on So-yeon's shoes flashes back. Now, against her will, she starts suspecting So-yeon. She goes to So-yeon's house, and since he's not home, she starts searching his room and picks up his shoes. Just then, So-yeon comes home. He's busy with his cat, but then he gets a sudden severe headache and his nose starts bleeding and that same blood drips onto his shoes. But Chanmi can't go to him and she sneaks out quietly. So-yeon spots her though, and he also realizes that Chanmi has taken his shoes. After that, the police call Chanmi in for another investigation and ask why she had stopped on the road that day. She tells them about So-yeon, but doesn't mention the blood on the shoes. Then they call So-yeon in and ask him the same question. He says he was on his way to get his scooter. Just then, the officer notices that So-yeon's shoes have blood on them. In the next scene, So-yeon tells Chanmi, I know you came to my house and I know you took my shoes, but if that's the case, why didn't you tell the police? I'm the hero everyone's been praising. Chanmi hands his shoes back to him and says, sorry. But then, So-yeon tells her, you've got it wrong. I didn't hurt anyone. Chanmi is shocked and says, what do you mean? I don't understand. But So-yeon doesn't explain anything. He just ignores her and walks away. After that, Chanmi finds a note in her locker that reads, if you want to know the truth, come to the auditorium. She goes there, but then someone hits her over the head, knocking her out. While she's unconscious, someone unlocks her phone using her fingerprint. When Chanmi wakes up, she's in the hospital with Seok Jaebum beside her. He explains that he had seen Chanmi go in there, but when she didn't come back out for a long time, he went inside and found her unconscious, so he brought her to the hospital. Chanmi thanks him. In the next scene, we see Yana arriving at school to find everyone staring at her with really strange looks. She's confused about what's going on, but it doesn't stay hidden for long. Someone had edited a photo of her and posted it on social media. And the girl who had done it is none other than Chanmi's own friend. Yana heads over with the other girls and slaps the girl hard. The girl says, this isn't my fault. Chanmi sent me this photo, and shows her a message from Chanmi. At that moment, Chanmi walks in herself, completely bewildered about what's happening. Before she can even figure it out, Yana slaps her. She's about to hit her a second time when So-yeon steps in front of Chanmi and escorts her out. Chanmi says to him, let me go. I haven't done anything, so why should I be scared? So Yeon tells her, you don't get it. This is just the beginning. Things can get much worse for you. That's why I'm telling you to go back where you came from. But Chanmi is not the kind of person who gives up that easily. After that, So-yeon goes back inside and Yana asks him, "Why did you protect Chanmi?" He says, "Because she's innocent." Think about it. Who would be stupid enough to do something like this from their own phone? Whoever did this did it to frame Chanmi, but Yana doesn't believe a word of it. She thinks So-yeon is just trying to protect Chanmi. After that, Yana and her brother Sung-yeon come up with a plan to get Chanmi kicked out of school. Sung-yeon goes to their dad, who is a police chief, and tells him, "There's a girl named Chanmi in Yana's class who's been causing her a lot of trouble. Can you arrange a transfer for her? It should be easy enough since she's living illegally in a hostel." Their dad says he'll look into it. Yana has now made herself Chanmi's enemy and is willing to do anything to drive her away. So she shows up with some thugs and they beat Chanmi up badly. So Yeon sees all of this from the rooftop of his house nearby, but by the time he reaches Chanmi to help, Yana and her crew are already gone. Chanmi says nothing to So-yeon and walks away quietly, gathering her strength. Just then, So-yeon notices Chanmi's wallet lying on the ground. She had forgotten it there. He goes after her to return it, but she's already gone, so he follows her. Back at the hostel, Chanmi arrives to find that someone has plastered edited nude photos of her all over the walls. She's overwhelmed and starts tearing them all down, fighting back tears. Just then, the hostel owner comes to her and says, "The police came a little while ago. They found out we've been giving a room to an underage girl, so they gave us a warning. Chanmi will need to find somewhere else to stay." Chanmi begs them, but they flatly refuse and leave. Right then, So-yeon shows up and hands her wallet back. He says, "I heard everything. You don't have a place to stay or come with me." Chanmi has no other option, so she agrees. Then, So-yeon spots another photo up high on the wall, so he lifts Chanmi up so she can reach it and pull it down too. After that, he takes Chanmi home with him. Even though So-yeon himself lives in a small room above the gym, he gives Chanmi his room and sets up a bed for himself in the gym. On the other side, we see Seok Jae-bum looking at screenshots of photos and chat messages between Chanmi and Ji So-heon. And here we get the hint that Seok Jae-bum might be the one who had hit Chanmi over the head. The next morning, So-yeon comes upstairs ready for school to find that Chanmi has made breakfast for both of them. He's a little surprised. The two of them sit down and eat together. And So-yeon is genuinely happy about it because normally he would go to school without eating anything, and today was rare. After that, the two of them head to school together. Chanmi opens her locker and finds another note inside that says, "Come meet me after 5th period." She tears it up. Then she sees Yana standing right across from her and tells her directly, "I was not the one who posted those edited photos of you, and I was not the one who told anyone that you and Sung-yeon are step-siblings. I have no idea why you're coming after me. But let me make one thing clear, but no matter what you do, I am not leaving this school." Meanwhile, a young Yeon who has come back to school tells Sung-yeon, "Find out who did this to me." And here we get the first hint of why someone as rough and dangerous as young Yeon was afraid of Sung-yeon, which we'll find out more about later. Then young Yeon and his friends are playing basketball when Seok Jae-bum tells them to leave because this space is only for students and they don't go to this school. They get rude with Seok Jae-bum and start pushing him around. So Yeon, who had been sleeping there, is woken up by the noise. He goes over to help Seok Jae-bum and starts fighting them all, but he's losing control of himself, beating them relentlessly. Then Seok Jae-bum steps in and stops him. In the next scene, Chanmi gets another note asking her to come to the auditorium. She goes, and this time there's a presentation happening with a lot of students already seated. But the moment Chanmi walks in, the presentation slides disappear and Ji So-heon's death footage starts playing. In the video, it's clearly visible that someone pushed him. So-heon did not jump. Everyone in the room is shocked, but no one knows who played the video. After that, Ji So-heon's case is reopened, and this time it's being taken very seriously. On the other side, Seok Jae-bum goes to Sung-yeon and asks, "Why did you do all that to Chanmi?" Sung-yeon says, "What do you mean? What did I do?" Seok Jae-bum says, "I know everything, so there's no point in acting in front of me." He tells Sung-yeon that he caught him on CCTV footage following Chanmi into the auditorium. Here we learn that it was actually Sung-yeon behind it all. He was the one who had leaked his own sister Yani's edited photos from Chanmi's phone. Seok Jae-bum then tells him, "I haven't told anyone about you yet, but if you try to hurt Chanmi one more time, I'll forget that you're my friend." Sung-yeon says, "I'm sorry, but what was I supposed to do? That girl is causing me a lot of trouble, and you know why she came back to this school." Hearing this, Seok Jae-bum falls into deep thought. On the other side, Yana shows up at Kookie's place with some thugs to teach Kookie a lesson because Kookie had laughed at the fact that Yana and Sung Yeon are step-siblings. Meanwhile, Seok Jae-bum arrives at school to find a pair of shoes identical to Sung Yeon's hanging from a tree. He's wondering about them when Sung Yeon walks up and says, "That's what you're thinking, right? Those are my shoes, but look, I'm wearing my shoes." Ha, you can't prove Chanmi was attacked based on a pair of shoes alone. After that, Chanmi gets yet another note, asking her to meet someone. She goes, and the person standing there is Seok Jae-bum. She's surprised and asks, "What are you doing here?" He says, "I saw you heading this way alone, so I followed you, and I was worried someone might hurt you again." The two of them are talking when a person in a hoodie runs away from the scene. They both try to catch whoever it is, but they're already gone. Chanmi tells Seok Jae-bum, "I think that's the person who attacked me." But Seok Jae-bum says, "No, that's not them." Chanmi is puzzled and thinks to herself, how can Seok Jae-bum say that with such certainty? In the next scene, Chanmi goes to the investigation team who had called her in. They apologize to her for not listening earlier and for closing the case as a suicide. They tell her, "Don't go investigating on your own from now on. We will find the real culprit very soon." Then Seok Jae-bum asks Sung Yeon, "Did you call Chanmi to meet you today?" And Sung Yeon denies it, saying, "I didn't do anything like that." On the other side, the investigation team also calls So Yeon in for questioning and starts asking him about the Young Yeon incident. He says he doesn't know anything about it. Yes, he dislikes Young Yeon because of his character, but he didn't do anything. The team tells him he can go. Consequently, Sung Yeon and Ji So-hyun's cases have now become linked, and the police believe that if they catch the person who attacked Jung Yeon, So-hyun's case will be solved too. After that, we see So-yeon going to visit his mom in the hospital. His mom starts talking to him about his brother, and both of them get emotional. But So-yeon's mom takes comfort in the fact that at least one of her sons is living happily. Little did she know that So-yeon's own days were very numbered. After that, So-yeon comes home, and Chanmi hands him a bottle of juice. He says, "What's going on? Why are you laying it on so thick today?" She says, "Ji So-hyun's adoptive parents called me. They told me I can come and collect So-hyun's things. That's why I'm in such a good mood." So-yeon says, "Oh, really?" Chanmi says, "Yes, so will you please come with me?" He says, "Sure." The two of them go to Ji So-hyun's parents' house. They hand Chanmi a suitcase that was locked and tell her they have no idea what's inside. Then they add, "Well, at least it's good news that Ji So-hyun didn't commit suicide. At least he's been spared the guilt of that kind of sin." Hearing this makes So-yeon furious, and he says, "What kind of parents are you? Your son is dead, and you don't even feel sad about it." He starts shouting. Chanmi calms him down. After that, the two of them go home and open the suitcase. Inside, Chanmi finds photos of herself and Ji So-hyun together, and she's overjoyed. Just then, memories of his mom start flooding back to So-yeon, and he goes outside and starts crying. Chanmi goes after him, and seeing him in tears, she feels so much pain for him. She pulls him into a hug. In the next scene, Chanmi asks So-yeon if he can introduce her to Ji So-hyun's girlfriend, because she was a friend of So-yeon's. So-yeon gives her the address. Chanmi goes and meets the girl and starts asking her about So-hyun. The girl says, "I was never his girlfriend." Chanmi shows her the photo that So-hyun had sent her, and the girl says, "Oh, that was when I let him pretend to be my fake boyfriend, because I needed to participate in a show." Chanmi is completely stunned, because So-hyun had told her so many stories about himself and his girlfriend. What was all of that then? Chanmi is absolutely lost. After that, Chanmi goes to the cafe that Ji So-hyun used to send her photos of, and there she meets a guy named Song, who tells her that Ji So-hyun was his really close friend and a genuinely good person. In fact, So-hyun had helped Song a lot back when they were in school together. Jung-yeon used to bully Song terribly, and one day he even poured a whole carton of milk over Song's head. Ji So-hyun got so angry that he gave Jung-yeon a serious tongue lashing, and after that, Jung-yeon never bothered Song again. In the next scene, we see Kookie and Ji So-hyun's girlfriend Min at a clinic. Then a young guy walks in. On the moment the doctor sees him, she has a full-blown panic attack. She starts screaming and then passes out. Kookie and Min help to revive the doctor. Then we find out that this guy had murdered the doctor's daughter, simply because she had refused to be his girlfriend in front of the whole class. The guy's name was Yuan Jong. When he killed the doctor's daughter, the doctor had actually been there at the time, but Yuan Jong wasn't scared at all. He even laughed and told her, "You can't do anything to me because I'm not 18 yet and the law won't punish me." And that's exactly what happened. He got no punishment and had been walking free ever since. The doctor then tells Kookie, "I'll give you whatever you want. Just find some way to make this boy pay so my daughter's soul can finally rest." There was clearly something about Kookie that made people always come to her for revenge. After that, Kookie goes to So-yeon and tells him she has a job for him. She tells him about Yuan Jong. So Yeon agrees to help. But Kookie warns him, "Last time with Jung-yeon, you got too worked up. Don't do that this time." We don't want to kill him, just scare him into apologizing to the doctor. So Yeon says, okay. In the next scene, So Yeon puts on his disguise again and teaches Yuan Jong a proper lesson. After that, he comes to school and tells Kuki their mission is complete. Kuki gives So Yeon his phone back. She had been holding onto it for him so that if anyone tried to track his location in the future, So Yeon wouldn't get into trouble. Then the scene shifts and we find out that Yuan Jong has been murdered. Who did it? We'll find out soon. Then Song, the guy Chanmi had met at the cafe, comes back to meet her again and tells her, the truth is that Ji So-haeon had already told me everything about himself and a friend of his because I was very close with him. And I'm the one who wrote you those notes and played that video. Chanmi asks, but where did you get that video? He says, I recorded it myself. Then in a flashback, we see Song walking past when he spots Ji So-haeon and starts filming him, planning to tease him with the footage later. He crouches down, but when he gets back up, he sees that So-haeon has fallen. He's terrified, and after that day, Song never opened the recording on his phone to watch it. He didn't even know So-haeon had been murdered. But when he saw Chanmi, the video came back to him, and when he watched it, he saw the truth. He then tells Chanmi, I suspect So-yeon. Meanwhile, the detectives also suspect So-yeon. They bring Young-yeon in and ask him about the person who had attacked him. He tells them, there was a smell of oil and alcohol on that person, and they didn't sound like a gangster at all. They talked like a totally normal guy. After this, the detective goes to So-yeon and casually tries to ask him, can someone be knocked unconscious with a single punch? So-yeon says, yes, with a martial arts technique. The detective asks, have you ever done that? And So-yeon says no. On the other side, Kuki finds out that Yuan Jong has been killed. She's distressed and tells So-yeon. So-yeon had no idea either. He's troubled too and says, I didn't kill him. Kuki says, whoever did it, you need to be careful now. In the next scene, Young-yeon blocks So-yeon's path after school and has his friends beat him up. So-yeon could have laid all of them out with a single punch if he wanted, but he deliberately lets himself be beaten so no one suspects him. And it works. Young-yeon figures there's no way So-yeon can be that person, but So-yeon is still under suspicion. The CCTV image of the killer shows a height that matches. So-yeon's exactly, so the detective goes to the bowling alley and starts checking So-yeon's locker, but it's empty. She then heads to his gym locker to check. So Yeon chases after her because his gym locker is where he hid all the evidence and his black suit. But when the detective opens So-yeon's locker, it's empty too, and she apologizes to So-yeon. But So-yeon himself is just as stunned about where his bag went. We then see Chanmi, who has quietly put So-yeon's bag into her own bag and taken it to a courier office, sending it to her orphanage's address. She stuffs her own bag with snacks and other items so no one gets suspicious. Afterwards, So-yeon sits at home, wondering where the bag went, while Chanmi sits on her side in tears because she had started to believe So-yeon was Ji So-haeon's killer and had grown to trust him as a true friend. Then Seok Jae-bum tells So-yeon, a memory just came back to me. I didn't have an accident. I tried to kill myself. Did I kill Ji So-haeon? So-yeon goes silent. Then Chanmi comes home and So-yeon asks her, why didn't you ask me anything? The police came to the house and you said nothing. Chanmi doesn't let on that she knows the truth and says, no, I know this is all part of the investigation. The next day, So-yeon finds a note in his locker. If you want your bag back, come to Seoul. He immediately understands that Chanmi wrote this. He goes to the meeting spot, and Chanmi steps out to face him and says, I know now that you're the killer. So Yeon says, believe me, I didn't kill him. But she won't hear a word of it and fires a shot at him. The bullet grazes So-yeon's arm. So-yeon takes the gun from her, but he doesn't turn it on Chanmi. Instead, he presses the gun to his own head and says, you've been with me all this time. Honestly, do you really believe I could kill Ji So-haeon? She goes quiet because she doesn't actually believe it. And then something strange happens. A call comes in on Chanmi's phone from Ji So-haeon's number. Chanmi stares at it in disbelief. She picks up, but no one speaks. Then she calls back and the number is switched off. But someone clearly has that phone. Then we see Seok Jae-bum sitting very troubled. And we're shown a scene from a little earlier when Seok Jae-bum had asked Sung-yeon, did you kill Ji So-haeon? Sung-yeon says, are you crazy? Why would I kill him? Then adds, and whatever you do, don't say this in front of anyone. Seok Jae-bum says, then tell me, how do I know Ji So-haeon? Sung-yeon says, I'll tell you everything, but not right now. On the other side, Chanmi becomes convinced that So Yeon is not her brother's killer. She says sorry to him and even buys him new clothes. The two of them get a photo taken together. So Yeon keeps one copy and gives the other to Chanmi. Then Seok Jae-bum goes to Sung Yeon and says, "You told me you'd explain everything, so explain." Sung Yeon hands him an envelope and says, "Before you tried to commit suicide, you gave me this envelope and told me not to open it no matter what. But after you jumped, I had to open it." Seok Jae-bum opens the envelope and is stunned. Inside are many photos of himself and Ji So-hyun, and from the photos, it's clear the two of them were very close. Seok Jae-bum doesn't remember any of it, and seeing these photos disturbs him even more. Chanmi wakes up the next morning and finds a note from So Yeon telling her he has gone away. We then see So Yeon, who the moment he steps off the train gets dizzy and collapses right there on the platform, losing consciousness. After that, we see Seok Jae-bum, who is very distressed. He tries to call So Yeon, but the phone is off. So he burns the photos of himself and Ji So-hyun, then goes to So Yeon's house to find him, but he's not there either. Just then, he sees Chan-mi entering the house. He's surprised and messages her to meet him at a nearby cafe. But instead of waiting for her, he enters So Yeon's house himself. Looking around, he realizes Chan-mi and So Yeon have been living together, and he's genuinely shocked. Then Yana and Sung Yeon also arrive and are equally surprised to learn that Chan-mi and So Yeon live together. Yana is furious at the news, and in her rage, she goes and deliberately cuts the brakes on Chan-mi's scooter. Meanwhile, So Yeon is in the hospital and getting treatment, but everyone else thinks he ran away out of fear. Then we see Chan-mi riding her scooter to school when she suddenly realizes the brakes aren't working. To avoid a serious accident, she swerves her scooter hard to one side, but still sustains quite a few injuries. When she has her scooter checked by a mechanic, he tells her the brakes were deliberately cut. She's certain the killer did this. So she goes into school and gets on the loudspeaker and announces, "Killer, do whatever you want. You still can't hurt me? I'm not leaving." Kuki rushes over and pulls her away from the mic. Chanmi walks off, but Kuki and her friend are heartbroken because today is Chanmi's birthday, and this is how she's had to spend it. Then Seok Jae-bum tells Sung Yeon, "I don't remember at all being that close to Ji So-hyun, and I don't remember why I tried to kill myself either." Sung Yeon starts to explain everything right, but then Seok Jae-bum tells him, "How do you know all this? Are you sure you're not doing this on purpose? Did you kill Ji So-hyun?" Sung Yeon punches him and walks away. Chanmi comes home to find her room in a terrible state. Whoever is doing all of this just wants Chanmi to get fed up and leave, but Chanmi has made up her mind not to give up. After that, the detective goes to the hospital to visit her husband, and there she spots So Yeon. Because her husband is the one treating him, she finds out So Yeon has a brain tumor. This saddens her deeply because she'd been thinking he had run away out of fear. She doesn't bring up the case at all and instead encourages him, telling him, "I won't tell anyone about this." Chanmi comes home and sees that So Yeon has come back. He looks at Chanmi in surprise and asks, "How did you get those injuries and what happened to the house?" She says, "Forget it. Where were you?" But he makes a joke and says, "The police were following me, so I was hiding," and starts laughing. Chanmi says, "I'm just glad you're okay." After that, So Yeon, Seok Jae-bum, Kuki, and everyone else throw Chanmi a surprise and celebrate her birthday. Chanmi is overjoyed. Then Sung Yeon arrives, and looking at his phone's ringtone, So Yeon suddenly freezes because this is the exact same ringtone that Chanmi had heard when the call came in from Ji So-hyun's number. So Yeon quietly tells Chanmi this, and the two of them decide to somehow steal Sung Yeon's phone and check whether a call actually went to that number or not. They rope Kuki into the plan too. In class, Kuki deliberately starts a fight with Sung Yeon while they quietly pocket his phone. So Yeon takes the phone to the bathroom to check, but he finds out the phone has only been in Sung Yeon's possession for 2 days, meaning Sung Yeon had just changed his phone, so they can't find anything useful on it. But Sung Yeon figures out that So Yeon was the one who took his phone. In the next scene, someone tries to attack So Yeon, but So Yeon grabs them. When he pulls off their mask, it's Song, who until now had believed So Yeon was Ji So-hyun's killer and had come to avenge him. Chanmi tells him the truth. So Yeon did not kill Ji So-hyun. Then Song tells Chanmi that it was actually him who had trashed her place, but he had no idea about the scooter brakes. Now Chanmi, So Yeon, and Song team up to find Ji So-hyun's killer, and they need to find the murderer before the police do, so they can deliver justice themselves. On the other side, the detective goes to Sung Yeon's father, the police chief, and tells him that a receipt was found at the scene of Yuan Jong's death, and all the evidence points to his son, Sung Yeon, having been there at the time. This worries the chief, and he tells the detective, "Don't tell anyone about this yet." But as he says this, the police chief escorts the female detective out of his office. Meanwhile, Chanmi and So-yeon devise a plan to get inside Sung-yeon's house. They decide that So-yeon will go over under the guise of studying with Jana, while Chanmi will keep Seok Jaebum and Sung-yeon busy at a cafe. So Yeon goes to Sung-yeon's house with Yana and, under some pretext, slips into Sung-yeon's room. There he finds a locked drawer, which he opens with a pin. Inside are many photos, and Ji-so-haeon, Sung-yeon, and Seok Jaebum are all in them together. So Yeon is stunned. Meanwhile, Jana posts an Instagram story in which she tags So-yeon. Sung-yeon sees the story and races home. But by then, So-yeon has already left Sung-yeon's room. Still, Sung-yeon starts a fight with him and says, "What are you doing? Sometimes you steal my phone, now you're snooping around." So-yeon says, "What are you talking about? I think you've lost your mind," and walks away. So Yeon is just about to hand Chanmi the photos when he gets a call saying his mother's condition has gotten critical. He runs to the hospital and finds out she will need surgery, which costs a lot of money he doesn't have. He tells the doctor, "I'll arrange the money very soon, please don't worry." And his mind starts racing over where he'll get the money. Chanmi also feels terrible because there's nothing she can do for him. So Yeon then goes to Kuki and tells her he needs money. Can she find him any work? But Kuki refuses, telling him, "It's not possible right now, and we could get caught." However, Kuki's friend feels so bad for So-yeon that she goes back to Tang's father herself, saying, "We'll take care of Young-yeon for you," easy because he started bothering Tang again. Meanwhile, Chanmi sells her scooter so she can help So-yeon somehow. And So-yeon gives Chanmi all the photos he found, which she takes to Seok Jaebum and asks, "Do you remember any of this?" But he remembers nothing. On the other side, Sung-yeon has already fully plotted his plan to frame So-yeon. He was the one who had told Jung-yeon to go after Tang again, so that So-yeon would come to punish him, walking right into Sung-yeon's trap. And sure enough, So-yeon gets ready to go after Jung-yeon and starts following him, unaware it's all a trap. Sung-yeon is live streaming CCTV footage. Meanwhile, at the hospital, So-yeon's mom passes away. The hospital staff keeps calling So-yeon, but he doesn't pick up. So they call Chanmi. Chanmi calls all their friends, and they all try to track So-yeon down and realize he's gone after Young-yeon. Kuki understands that the whole thing is a setup. They all rush off to save So-yeon. The masked man attacks Young-yeon, and Sung-yeon arrives too. The moment Sung-yeon pulls the mask off the attacker, it's not So-yeon at all. It's Seok Jaebum. Then we're shown what happened a little earlier. Chanmi and Seok Jaebum had reached So-yeon in time, and Seok Jaebum had taken So-yeon's place. That's why it was Seok Jaebum there. Then the police also arrive and arrest everyone. Meanwhile, So-yeon is walking to his mother in tears, and seeing him, Chanmi is heartbroken too and tries to comfort him. After that, we see So-yeon's mother's funeral, attended by the detective and her husband. They comfort So-yeon and then leave. But So-yeon's friends don't leave him alone. They stay with him at his mother's memorial. So Yeon says to everyone, "We should go to Ji-so-haeon's memorial too." They all go and pray for So-yeon's mother's soul. After that, everyone leaves, but Chanmi stays with So-yeon. She tells him, "I feel like there's something about Ji-so-haeon I still don't know. I'm really confused about how my brother was friends with someone like Sung-yeon." So Yeon tells her, "Don't worry, the truth will come out soon enough." Then Chanmi tells Seok Jaebum, "Ask Sung-yeon again about you and Ji-so-haeon," and she herself hides nearby. Sung-yeon then tells Seok Jaebum, "The truth is, you didn't commit suicide. Ji-so-haeon was the one who pushed you off that building." Hearing this, Seok Jaebum is stunned. And even more shocked is Chanmi, because this is almost impossible for her to believe. After that, we see the classroom scene where So-yeon and Sung-yeon get into a fight again, and So-yeon suddenly gets a terrible headache and collapses. Everyone tries desperately to bring him around, but he doesn't regain consciousness. Then Chanmi arrives and tells everyone, "So-yeon has a brain tumor. I'm taking him to the hospital." Hearing about So-yeon's brain tumor, his friends are devastated. Chanmi then asks the doctor, "Is So-yeon going to die? Is his condition very serious?" The doctor says, "We can't say for certain, but if So-yeon stays happy, his health will stay stable and he could live longer." The doctor also tells her that So-yeon's condition is now stable. Chanmi then leaves. When So-yeon wakes up, Chanmi isn't there. Instead, he gets a video message from her in which she has said goodbye to him and explained that she's leaving because she found out that Ji-so-haeon had tried to kill Seok Jaebum. So Yeon immediately understands that this is clearly some trick that has been used to send Chanmi away. Chanmi also sends Seok Jaebum a similar video, apologizing on her brother's behalf and saying goodbye. But Seok Jaebum has no memory of any of it. After that, Young-yeon meets Sung-yeon and says, "I want to kill So-yeon." Sung-yeon says, "Wait, I have a better plan. Just then So-yeon arrives and starts beating them both up and tells Sung-yeon, "You pulled some trick to send Chanmi away." But Sung-yeon says nothing. So-yeon is about to leave when Jung-yeon attacks him from behind, and So-yeon beats him badly. Then Seok Jae-boom arrives and stops So-yeon. Meanwhile in Seoul, Chanmi is sitting in tears looking at photos of herself and Ji So-haeon. Then Seok Jae-boom's words come back to her that on April 22nd, Seok Jae-boom had tried to commit suicide. But Ji So-hyun was with Chanmi on that day. Looking at the date written under the photo, Chanmi is shocked, and she realizes she's been deceived. After that, Seok Jae-boom goes to Sung-yeon and says, "I don't believe you at all. You said Ji So-hyun knew a secret of yours, Clyde, so tell me what it was." But Sung-yeon just gets angry and tells him to leave. He says, "Why would I tell you my secret?" After that, as Seok Jae-boom and So-yeon are talking, So-yeon asks Seok Jae-boom, "Is it really true that So-haeon pushed you?" Seok Jae-boom says, "I don't remember anything, and all of this was told to me by Sung-yeon. And Chan-mi overheard it too, and now who knows where she's gone." But So-yeon has no trust in Sung-yeon whatsoever. He's sure this is some scheme of Sung-yeon's. He's in the middle of thinking this when he gets a call from an unknown number. He declines it, and then Chan-mi messages him. He calls her back. Chan-mi asks the two of them to meet her at a location and says, "Look at this photo. It's from the same day Seok Jae-boom was pushed off the building, and Ji So-haeon was with me that day." Which means So-haeon didn't push Seok Jae-boom. None of them can figure out why Sung-yeon lied to them, and they decide to find the truth. Then Sung-yeon comes home looking badly injured. His father is worried, but Sung-yeon makes excuses and says, "This happened in a fair fight. I gave the other guy a good beating too." His father then tells him, "If you have any part in any of these cases, please tell me. I'll protect you." But Sung-yeon tells his dad nothing. After that, Chan-mi tells So-yeon, "We'll tell the police everything, except the part about Young-yeon. I don't want your real identity exposed in front of the police and have you punished. Your time is too precious." The two of them become a little emotional. Chan-mi then goes to a shop to pick something up when Young-yeon and Sung-yeon show up and knock So-yeon out and try to take him away. Chan-mi rushes in and tries to stop them, but they take So-yeon anyway. Chan-mi calls Seok Jae-boom and tells him everything. He says, "I'll handle it. If we haven't found him by tomorrow, we'll go to the police." He then hangs up and calls someone else. After that, we see Seok Jae-boom, who suddenly gets all his memories back and realizes that it was Sung-yeon who had pushed him off that building. Then Young-yeon beats So-yeon exactly the same way So-yeon had once beaten him. Meanwhile, Chan-mi is sitting in the gym when Seok Jae-boom calls her and says, "I've found So-yeon's location. Don't tell the police anything yet." After that, the detective calls Chan-mi in and tells her that the killer of Yuan-jong is left-handed. Chan-mi thinks to herself that So-yeon can't be under suspicion anymore because So-yeon is not left-handed. Chan-mi then shows the detective the call that came to her phone from Ji So-haeon's number, and the team starts tracking whoever made that call. Then we see Sung-yeon beating So-yeon badly. He asks him, "You're the one who attacked Young-yeon, aren't you?" So-yeon says, "Yes." Then Sung-yeon tells him, "So then you must have killed Yuan-jong too." So-yeon says no. But Sung-yeon still believes So-yeon is lying. He starts to cut off one of So-yeon's fingers. But just then, men sent by Seok Jae-boom arrive and rescue So-yeon. Seok Jae-boom also arrives, and he seems like a completely different person. Burning with rage, he grabs Sung-yeon by the throat and says, "You lied to me. I remember everything now." He starts beating him. After that, Seok Jae-boom signs some papers, and So-yeon notices that he signed his name wrong and that he's writing with his left hand. But then, a man from Seok Jae-boom's company tells him he's signed incorrectly, and Seok Jae-boom corrects it with his right hand. He then brings So-yeon to Chan-mi and says, "My memory is back." Meanwhile, the detective is studying the Yuan-jong case and discovers that he was killed by strangulation, and the person who choked him was left-handed. The question is now, which of the two, So-yeon or Sung-yeon, is left-handed? After that, we see Kuki sitting with Chan-mi and telling her, "Yesterday the detectives came to collect all the information from me, but I didn't tell them anything. I'm leaving this place because if the detective finds out that I was the one who brought So-yeon into this, he'll get an even harsher sentence. So I'm going somewhere far away. I'll dye my hair and start fresh with a new identity." On the other side, we see Sung-yeon sitting across from his father and telling him, "I'm romantically interested in Yana. I never thought of her as my sister. I'm telling you all this because very soon there's going to be another case reopened, and the reason will be your daughter." His father gets somewhat angry and says, "Even if she's not your biological sister, she's still your sister. You can't have feelings like that for her." Sung-yeon says, "But it's too late for all of that now." After that, we see Seok Jae-boom asking Yana to get in the car with him, but he takes her down an unfamiliar road, which frightens her. She asks, "Where are you taking me?" He says, "Be patient. You'll find out everything very soon." Seok Jae-boom tells Yana, "I know that you and Sung-yeon have feelings for each other, and that the two of you have even kissed." Hearing this, she goes pale and falls completely silent. Just then, Sung Yeon also arrives. Seok Jae-bum says to him, "So now that you're here, let Jana go." Sung Yeon refuses. Seok Jae-bum then says, "Was it you who pushed me off that building that day? Why did you do that?" Sung Yeon says, "Because I was very angry." Seok Jae-bum asks, "What were you so angry about?" And here we find out that Sung Yeon had filmed a video of himself and Yana kissing to use as blackmail material. And So Hyun had also seen this video. So Hyun had warned Sung Yeon to stop bullying Seok Jae-bum, otherwise he would tell everyone at school about it. And that is why Sung Yeon pushed Seok Jae-bum off the building. After that, Chanmi and So Yeon hatch another plan. Chanmi gets hold of a phone that looks exactly like Ji So Hyun's and sends a photo of it from an unknown number to both Seok Jae-bum and Sung Yeon, saying, "I've found this phone." Under some pretext, So Yeon comes to Seok Jae-bum's house and secretly plants a tracker on him. The moment Seok Jae-bum gets the message, he gets flustered and leaves the house. Following him, So Yeon trails him to a quiet spot where Seok Jae-bum opens a box, and inside it is Ji So Hyun's actual phone. Just then, So Yeon comes up behind him and says, "Give me that phone." But suddenly someone hits So Yeon hard over the head and knocks him out. That someone is Sung Yeon. Seok Jae-bum then asks him, "How did you know I was here?" Sung Yeon says, "I got the same message as you. I noticed the trap and didn't fall for it, but you did. That's why I came to save you." And now comes a jaw-dropping twist. We learn that Seok Jae-bum actually had dual personality disorder. Ever since falling from that building, he had felt as though there was another person living inside him. And even he himself had no idea about this. But Seok Jae-bum's mother had told Sung Yeon about it, and Sung Yeon had exploited it for his own benefit. He convinced Seok Jae-bum's second personality that it was not Ji So Hyun, but Seok Jae-bum himself who had been pushed from the building that day. This made Seok Jae-bum's second personality erupt with rage, and it was this other personality that had pushed Ji So Hyun off the building and killed him. Learning all of this, Seok Jae-bum begins to fight with Sung Yeon and says, "How could you do this? Ji So Hyun was his closest friend and you had him killed by his own friend's hands." So Yeon regains partial consciousness and sees the two of them fighting, but can't figure out who the other person is. After this fight, Seok Jae-bum's whereabouts were unknown. No one could find him. His car was found in one spot, but he was nowhere near it. Then Song comes back from London and reveals a massive truth to Chanmi. He says, "The truth is that Ji So Hyun had no girlfriend. It was me he was dating. And one day when the two of us were kissing, Sung Yeon saw us. After that, he blackmailed Ji So Hyun into bullying students and destroying his own image. Ji So Hyun didn't want to do any of it, but he was forced to because of that video. And he did whatever Sung Yeon demanded. Then Cookie, reckless in disguise working at a port, gets a call from her school friends who tell her the whole truth. As she steps outside, she spots Seok Jae-bum. She tells Chanmi right away. Chanmi picks up Ji So Hyun's pistol, but there's only one bullet in it. She loads that one bullet and goes to find Seok Jae-bum. She points the gun at him. He says, "Give me a chance to explain." But she says, "No, I'm not listening to anything you say. I considered you one of my closest friends. What did you do to me?" He starts crying, and from the side, he begins to explain that he genuinely has dual personality disorder and that Sung Yeon tricked his other personality into believing Ji So Hyun had pushed him. That's what led to all of this. But Chanmi says, "You're a liar, and I won't believe a single word you say." Then Seok Jae-bum's second personality, the one who killed Ji So Hyun, takes over his body and begins to beat Chanmi savagely. But then Chanmi starts speaking directly to this other personality. "Please leave his body alone. Stop tormenting my friend." The other personality says, "How can you forgive the killer of your own brother?" Chanmi says, "No, my brother's murder wasn't done by Seok Jae-bum. I understand now that none of this was Seok Jae-bum. I'm begging you, let go of my friend's body." And hearing all of this, even Seok Jae-bum's second personality becomes emotional. Seok Jae-bum comes back to himself, but then sees the state he's beaten Chanmi into. Horrified and in tremendous pain, he grabs the gun and tries to shoot himself. But because there was only one bullet and it had been fired during the struggle, the gun is empty and on, and he can't kill himself. He breaks down sobbing. At that moment, the detective also arrives, and Seok Jae-bum turns himself in. Now it's Sung Yeon's turn. He realizes that his sister Jana has sided with So Yeon, and so he drags her up to the rooftop and locks her there. He also calls So Yeon up there and starts beating him. But in the middle of their struggle, Sung Yeon accidentally falls over the edge and dies right there. All the students at school see So Yeon standing there. But before the police can arrive, Tang sends a message to everyone telling them that So Yeon is the hero who had taken down Young Yeon. The whole school had already been on So Yeon's side, so when the police arrive, not a single person gives a statement against him. Everyone says Sung Yeon fell on his own. Giannis says too, he was trying to kill me. I was only trying to defend myself and he fell. The detective understands that everyone is lying, but when everyone tells the same lie, it becomes the truth. So they close the case as a suicide. After that, we see the school graduation sometime later. Everyone is happy. Cookie has come back to school and is there with them, and they're all taking photos. Then we see So Yeon, who has decided to stop his further studies. He just wants to be happy now, to collect good memories for the rest of his life. And Chanmi is going to be by his side through all of it. The two of them say goodbye to everyone and leave school together. And with that, our suspenseful series comes to an end.